So I was reading over at bleacherreport.com, and they had your Detroit Pistons as the second best rebuilding team. So I wanted to kind of get your just thoughts on Bleacher Report ranking the Detroit Pistons as the second best rebuilding team in the NBA.
I was okay with it. I understand the placing for it. It sucks a little bit that they're still kind of in this conversation because when the rebuild started, they were with the likes of the Thunder, the Cavaliers, kind of to an extent, and now they're kind of hanging around with some other teams at this moment. I understand the placing. I get being behind San Antonio. I like the last line that they had in the article. Like they would still be in a very high position right now, even if they didn't have Victor Wembanyama. Like I love the guard they picked up, Castle. I love a lot of the assets that they picked up through time over these past several years. I think they're in a really good position to contend in the West over the next few years. I think they're building in the right direction. And the Pistons, it kind of makes sense with where they're at. Again, they shouldn't still be stuck, unfortunately, in this conversation, but I get it. Again, they have a lot of young talent that they had to bring in, having to start over with a new coach, starting over with a new regime, basically hitting reset again at this point. It's kind of a rebuild of the restoration of Troy Weaver's vision. Some of the other teams out there kind of bothered me. Like I would put Utah a lot higher. Like I just think they're in a better position than who was it that I didn't really like? I think it was not Portland. I want to say, the Wizards. I think the Wizards are way too high. Like I don't think the Wizards are in a good position right now. I would have put them in the honorable mention conversation. Like I just don't think they're in the discussion with the 5 teams that are like around them right now. Especially when Troy Weaver is now helping lead that, when he just kind of failed with the different situation with the Pistons. But I like where the Pistons are at. Again, when you have a star in the rise with Cade Cunningham, when you've got complementary pieces around him, and people are really high on the resources that have been placed around this team. So I get it. I'm okay with 2. I think it's a fair spot for him.
For people that are probably going to listen on the audio side, because I know a lot of people get frustrated that I'm just so used to just talking to people that are watching live, but the rebuilding rings from Bleacher Report are San Antonio 1, Detroit Pistons 2, Portland Trailblazers 3, Washington Wizards 4, and Brooklyn Nets 5. To your point, I don't really understand why the Wizards are in here. I did see, though, I want to give Rockets Twitter some credit. Houston Rockets fans were actually upset that they weren't on this list. And I was like, you guys just won like over 30 games. I don't really see you guys as a rebuilding team anymore. And to your point, like I would throw, Toronto in this top 5 because I think they're going to be going through a rebuild now that they traded OG Anunoby. Even though like it kind of seemed like they were retooling, like getting RJ Barrett and Emmanuel quickly, I still kind of consider them into that rebuilding phase, if you will.
No, I agree with you 100%. I love where Portland is at. I think they're really in a good position. Scoot Henderson is my pick for most improved player. I really think he can take off and do some good damage in the West. I don't know about Washington. I just think they have a lot of pieces that kind of don't make sense right now. It feels like Weaver's doing the big man fetish again over there with them. And then obviously Summer League is Summer League, but when Sarr is kind of not really shining the way we expected him to, you got to hesitate a little bit to what they're doing, especially when the other teams around, like the Nets having all the picks that they got out of the Mikal Bridges trade, obviously with the Spurs, obviously with where the Pistons are, obviously with where the Blazers are. I just think they're way more ahead. Like, again, I understand maybe putting the Wizards in the honorable mention category, but I would put Toronto and Utah ahead of them at the 4th spot or even at 5. I don't know about their spot right now. Wizards Twitter, don't come after me. I'm just giving my opinion. I'm sorry.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really think Wizards Twitter would probably be too mad at your stance on it because they just started rebuilding, and like it doesn't help that you tried to get Evan Fournier and he said no. He said I want to go play overseas. And it's just like we make like jokes about Troy sometimes on this YouTube channel. I'm sure even like Pistons fans in the Pistons community make jokes about Troy Weaver. Like I did not see Sadiq Bey going to Washington, even though he's from there. Like I made a joke. I was like, well, watch them sign Sadiq. They signed Sadiq. It's just like, I mean, what are you going to do next? Like go sign Josh Jackson and Jahlil Okafor? Like, what are we doing?
Go right back down the same path. Like I didn't get it. Yeah, I liked Jordan Poole going over there. Like it made sense for him to get a fresh start in a different situation. But like everything around that just hasn't made sense. Like I kind of like Johnny Davis a little bit, but I don't know where that's going at this point with him. I don't even know how much longer he's going to be in that jersey for them. Like honestly, I don't know. They got a lot of pieces that don't make sense, and then obviously the city paying those kind of even Marvin Bagley still being there, Isaiah Livers, just a lot of the former Pistons going back under the tutelage of Weaver is just it's a little comical. But hey, best of luck to the Wizards. Hopefully they figure it out. But I get where the Pistons are at. 2 makes sense for them.
Yeah, same here. I did want to put it on the screen because I feel like when people are watching, some people are just like visual people, understand it. That's why I make these graphics for you guys.
That's me. That's me.
100%, man. I was just like so shocked to see, like, if you go on my posted, you can see like Rockets fans are like, they were like upset that they weren't mentioned in the top 5 rebuilding. Like they were like really upset, like had people that like beat reporters retweeting that, like, really, we're not a rebuilding team anymore. Like that's news to me. I was like, wow, okay.
That's good news for y'all. Y'all should be celebrating doing kickstands right now. Yeah, I don't think they're in the honorable mention state. Again, they put a lot of their stock into a Jalen Green, and the fact that they were able to win and succeed without predicating so much on him. Like Sengun is their best player, and I don't really think it's close at this point right now. He was fantastic when he was healthy. Then you can add those veteran pieces like what's his name? Fred VanVleet. And even Dylan Brooks, like adding those veteran pieces to complement those guys, and then to see the wins go with it. It's not like they struggled under their new coach and like trying to figure things out. Like things made sense. They worked well under Udoka. They played better defense, and then they had a pretty good draft as well. So, take a lap, Rockets fans. You did a good job. Y'all are on the right path.
Yeah, I was like, I think you guys are out of the rebuilding phase, so that's not something you should be upset about, I think, in my opinion. But I thought it was pretty funny that they were actually upset that they weren't mentioned. Even like some Hornets fans too. I was like, I think you guys will be better with the brand new head coach. You know, Miles Bridges, LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller. They're gonna take a step. Like all the teams that weren't mentioned were actually upset. And I was just like, you guys are, I think you'll be ahead. I think you'll be competing for at least a play-in spot, in my opinion.
Yes. That's another team I wanted to put up there. Yeah, Charlotte, I think, is really the good spot. As long as LaMelo is healthy, I do like their new coach. I wanted Brandon Miller so bad on this team. I thought he would have been a perfect fit. I was arguing with Pistons fans for the longest, saying that he doesn't fit. He's overrated. Bro, shut up. He is a fantastic player. I think he's going to work well with Charlotte. I like what they're doing right now.
Yeah, same here. I was a really big Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller and Scoot were my 2 guys in that draft, and I know Scoot didn't have the season that I thought, some people were kind of like thinking he would have, but I think he'll be all right. I think Chauncey's the perfect coach to coach him because, he's had his highs, his lows, so he could probably relate to him more than anybody. And I think he'll do good. Brandon Miller just looks like a bona fide star, in my opinion, man. Like that kid's gonna be special.
Man, the way he came on strong the second half of the year, like it was fantastic watching that. Like, as he kind of came out of nowhere, he was getting all the slander for calling Paul George his GOAT, but he kind of had some moments where he was kind of floating and looking smooth like Paul George. I love the way he was able to play in transition. He created his own shot, did a really good job playing defense, transition defense. He had it all. I don't know what fans saw from him that didn't think that he would have fit. He was the best shooter coming out of college that year when he was drafted. I don't know what y'all saw, but I wanted him bad on this team. I think he made the most sense, and I think he's in a great spot right now with Charlotte.
I think it was more of the off the court stuff Pistons fans get weird about because the talent wise, the talent was there. But I remember a lot of Pistons fans saying like, "Oh, well, we don't want that mess. We don't want that distraction." I was like, we would be damn lucky to get a guy of that caliber. I'm just telling you, like, instead of having Isaiah Livers, you could have had Brandon Miller next to Cade, and who knows, maybe. You get from 14 to maybe 25 wins. You never really know. Those 2 could click. Like, I don't know. Like the just the conversations last year were so messy among just like draft Twitter and even Pistons Twitter too. But we can move on because I don't want to hype on Brandon Miller because I'll get depressed.